Hi guys, Herbalist40 here, and thank you for joining me today. Right, I do know it's been a bit of a slow pace as far as the uploads go recently. There's a reason for that, and it is because I'm not that I'm gonna stop what I'm doing, but I'm kind of getting tired of having to explain the same shit over and over again, and not many things moving forward. Also, I'd like to draw anyone's attention who hasn't actually seen it. My previous episodes, Be Heroes, Yatar, like I spoke to Wispy about that one, and like obviously he explained to me it's probably one of my least clickbait videos to date. But I'd still encourage you guys to go check that out because it is fairly interesting. I'd put it in my top 3 videos today out of all 50. So if you haven't seen that, I'd really appreciate it if you go check it out because there's a lot of answers in there, guys. But anyway, that's enough rambling for the beginning. Today's episode is going to focus on Epsilon pretty much, and it's also going to focus on you, or should I say us. Um, what I've what I'm going to start off with, I think, here is I'm going to show you a different aspect of what Epsilon was based on, because most people sit there thinking, which obviously they'd be correct, they sit there thinking it's Scientology, and that's pretty much all they can think of to go towards it. But the Epsilon program is, to me, very much tied to another form of New Age religion called Raëlism. Now I'm going to bring it up on the screen in just a second, but Raëlism is basically, just to make it clear, a New Age religion that basically focuses on aliens and UFOs. And I know it sounds a little bit crazy, but I think they're about 100,000 followers worldwide, if not more. I'm not really too sure on the numbers, but they're quite a big group, and it seems to be growing. And I think Rockstar probably took just as much off these guys as they did off Scientology, maybe even more, because here, to me, the clues and the distinctions are a lot clearer. Not only are we going to be comparing Epsilon to Raëlism, but we're also going to be taking one of the first parts of the tract and hopefully clearing or bringing some light to it and a little bit of understanding to the first part of the Epsilon tracts. Right, so here we have it on screen, and basically this is Raël. It's a bit small and it's a bit all cramped in there. I wasn't going to spend too much time on it today because we have a couple of other things to discuss, obviously, so I'll come back to it in a little bit more detail if need be. But for now, the first distinction is the great big medallion that Raël and some of his followers, I believe, carry. Now you can see in the middle there that the symbol was initially the Star of David combined with a swastika. In their belief, it was the original intention of the swastika, which was to symbolize peace. It was later on the Nazis took it and made it their war symbol, basically. To the right of that, though, you have an alternative symbol that he's actually wearing around his neck, because in some countries that he wants to preach to, having a Star of David combined with a swastika isn't the right way to go about things. So there's a little bit of controversy about all that, but yeah, in the general term, those two symbols are both valid. Right, after which, if you look at his suit, it's pretty clear. I don't really need to do much explaining here, but his suit is very, very similar to the design of that of Chris and Michael and the Epsilon suit, basically. So that was the second connection there. A lot of people have speculated that Chris might be in control of one of or multiple UFOs, that Chris might be the mastermind behind a lot of things. This guy, Raël, is basically a French race driver who, after apparently having a conversation with an alien being called the Elohim, you can read that at the bottom of the screen there. I took a quick outcut of Wikipedia for you guys to see the basic idea of it. But yeah, as you can see, his name's Claude. So that's a name we're familiar with. On top of that, he is, as I said, French. Now, Chris Formage is French for training or forming someone. So yeah, there's a few connections there as well, notably the medallion, their belief in aliens. But the other interesting thing that I came across is a book that Raël wrote. Raël is obviously Claude, he had his name changed. But this book is basically geniocracy, and it's an idea that he believes in, where basically instead of electing presidents as we do nowadays, or government officials, that they should be the geniuses among us. Einstein, Tesla, Da Vinci, Gandhi, as you can see on the cover of the book, anyone who would be considered a genius in society should have free passage to lead the countries. I don't know, apart from all the other crazy shit he says, I can kind of agree with that. Seems like a pretty damn good idea to me, considering the retards we have in office nowadays. But anyway, let's not get into that, it's a long discussion. But yeah, he's pretty much as mad as the fucking day is long. But there's definitely a lot of ties between the religion that he created and the religion that is Epsilon. Now, with that said, that's all we're going to look into Raëlism for today. I urge you to go and look into it yourselves if you want to learn a little bit more. But what we're going to jump into now is, as I said, the first part of the Epsilon tract, and hopefully I can shed a little bit of light onto it. Some of you are not going to like what you hear. I'm afraid that's just too bad. Like, there's not much I can do for you if you struggle to understand the view that I'm going to bring forward next. Well, don't hesitate to hit me up in the comment section below, and I'll try to explain it a little bit better. But this is as clear as I could get it, and it's as close to the truth as I can get it as well. Right, so here we have it. Now, this is basically part of the first chapter of the Epsilon tracts, and out of the first paragraph even, and I've just eliminated literally a couple of sentences or a few words to make it a little bit clearer and more simple. I took out the irrelevant shit. But I'm just going to read it out real quick, and we're going to go over it as we go along. But we as a people have constantly got things backwards. I know that now. I am not alive, I am dead. I am not rich, I am poor. Notice that I've highlighted rich and poor. Now carrying on. You are being controlled by lots of powerful forces you do not understand, like gravity, highlighted in red again. I'd like to add now, like gravity or like symbolism. One of the most powerful forces in the world today is symbolism, and people know how to exploit it. And the clearest example I can give you of how powerful symbolism really is, and its branding. There's not one person on this planet, probably, who wouldn't recognize the Apple logo. There is not one person on this planet who would not recognize the Lacoste logo. You're probably sitting there thinking, oh, what about little kids in Africa? Trust me, when they get charity clothes, sometimes it's Lacoste, it's Adidas. Trust me, around the world, people recognize brands instantly. There's no stop for thought. If you see the crocodile, you know it's Lacoste. If you see the the tripod thing, you know it's Adidas. If you see the tick, you know it's Nike. That's how powerful symbolism is. It's inbuilt into the back of your mind. You don't even have to blink. It's already a word. That's how powerful symbols can be, and that's why certain brands, at the end of the day, if you look at it realistically, it's ridiculous. Like, why would you pay 50 or 70 or $100 for a top? Why aren't they all 20? Yeah, there's a little bit of difference in quality of material and stuff like that, but at the end of the day, what you're paying for is, as I said, the crocodile, the tick, or any of those things are what you're essentially paying for. And they can even, make you feel things. Like, I'm not going to lie, I'm a big Nike and Adidas fan. I have a lot of Nike trainers, and when I get a new pair of Nike trainers, I feel good. I like them, I feel fresh, I feel smart, you know what I mean? And because of that, that's the best examples I can give you here. Lots of powerful forces that you do not understand, yet they're still part of what you do in your day-to-day life. But anyway, just as an apple sometimes flies up from a tree and becomes a great eagle, so what seems like greed can be the most selfless act of all. Now, this is going to be one of the most important parts of this whole video, so I want you to listen well. Epsilonism is an expensive religion only for those with the wisdom to afford it. Wisdom is our most valuable commodity, and that is why we pay highly for it. Understand me when I say this is a lot clearer than what you first believe. The beauty about the tracts is, and I'm going to be honest here, and I've done it myself before, is certain paragraphs can be used to suit different situations depending on the angle you read them. This is the point blank message here. There is no metaphor, there is no misunderstanding. It's not that difficult to grasp, and you should see that in my thumbnail, hopefully, that I chose for this video that was in the beginning of the clip. When it speaks of an apple and when it flies upwards and becomes a great eagle, that's all talking about you. It's all relevant to information. You need to understand that wisdom is our most valuable commodity. This is all the same paragraph. Granted, there's a few missing words just to make it a little bit less cryptic, because a few extra words can do that, funnily enough. But at the end of the day, when it says that we pay highly for it, that's the point. Like, you sit there telling me, why would we all need to sit down and watch Lost? Why would we all need to sit down and watch Heroes? It's not the point. Only one of us needs to do that. Sit through that process of paying highly for the wisdom which is so valuable to us. Why would they be referencing these things if they were unnecessary? Like, at the end of the day, people need to get their heads around the fact that one of the most intricate things that they built into this game is Epsilon. Regardless of whether you think Michael should engage in it or not is a whole different story. You should engage in it. You have things to learn from it. Like here, for example, the message is that simple. Apples flying upwards from a tree, becoming a great eagle. Become that eagle. Learn. Take the apple. It's like when I brought up my video, The Serpent and the Dragon, a very old video of mine. I talk about the fruit bowl in Michael's house with the snake's head and the winged demon inside it. I told you already back then, Adam and Eve took a bite out of that fruit, the apple. I've brought it up with the company as well and their glass cube. Like, I've told you this before. As soon as they took a bite out of that apple, they became aware. Their eyes were open, they were filled with wisdom and knowledge. Before, they were naked and didn't even have a clue. They were clueless. They were just existing humbly and pleasantly. That was it. Before they took a bite out of the fruit, their eyes were closed. They were unaware of their surroundings completely. And you are, unless you start taking bites out of the apple, lost equally as Adam and Eve would have been, and that would have been that. There would have never been humanity. It would have stayed as it was there and then. The point is that it didn't happen that way. They took the bite. They wanted to know more. Curiosity killed the cat. Understand that. Now, this is just a simple part of the program, or the track, should I say, and it's the very beginning, and hopefully in the future I'm going to be able to enlighten you on further parts of it. But for now, we're just going to focus on this because, like, you really need to understand the importance of what's in front of you right now. This is an answer. People need to understand that sometimes in a mystery, it takes a fair few riddles to be solved before you actually accomplish a prize. And that was the case for Trials. Again, how many times do I have to repeat it? They didn't open doors or find secret chambers. They read code, not... I said that wrong. They read codes as in binary codes and things like that implemented into the game. They understood riddles. They solved bizarre questions in order to move forward. That's a major part of a mystery, something we haven't been exposed to yet. But something I wanted to remind you guys about is our dear friend Lamar, and as you can see on the screen here, we have an Apache chief. And this all ties back to what I was telling you with Epsilon, is the simple fact of the Apache chief, as he goes on, creates this headdress, as you can see now, basically composed of eagle's feathers, and they choose to crown it around his head. The Indians, let me remind you, attributed wisdom to their elders. Now I'm going to bring up on the screen next a little bit more details how the Apache made these headdresses and how they earned them what they represented, because although it's attributed to war and heroic acts, it's also tied to age and wisdom and experience. Right, so I'm just going to read it out real quick. It will make it a little bit easier for me. And it is, warriors earned a feather each time they did something the tribe felt was a brave act or a heroic act, i.e. heroes, one of my points again. Many times the first feather earned by a warrior was given to him for being seen as an adult member of the tribe. You see what I mean? It's about hierarchy. The elders were by default more respected, and it made more sense back then as well, because survival was a lot more primitive, and therefore your chances of living to be an old age were much smaller than they are today. A lot less threats living around in the city than there were living in the jungle. But yeah, at the end of the day, once they had collected enough feathers, they were then made into a headdress. The most prized of all feathers to receive for a headdress was the golden eagle feather, because the Indians saw the eagle as a messenger of God. This feather could only be earned through hardship, loyalty, and strength. Now, I know this strays a little bit away from the game, and for some of you it's really annoying and hard to stick with me, but I'm really being serious here. It's just a question of whether you're willing to accept the knowledge that's around you, or if you're just ignorant and oblivious to it. The choice is yours. Now, we've spoken of eagles and apples and how they basically tie down to knowledge and understanding, something that people like me, Wispy, Brian, Jack Treehorn and others have been trying to show you for a very long time. A lot of you do understand, I get that, but a lot of you are still in the stage where you are basically magpies, which is going to bring me to the ending of this video. We're next going to take a look at 3 very, very short clips of a movie called Just Before I Go. It's a great movie. I'd encourage you to watch it. We're just going to watch like literally 2-3 minutes worth of it, if that. And I'm going to explain to you why a lot of you, and I mean this seriously, are stuck at magpies. That's what you are. You can still bite from the apple and become a great eagle. And I know I sound like a crazy retard talking to you right now, but the truth is in the words I'm giving you right now. So let's just jump in and watch the first clip and get our first understanding and our major understanding of what is the magpie.
Memories? Memories like a magpie. It picks up all the bright and shiny shit and pays no attention to what really matters.
So you all heard it, and he said memory's like a magpie, picks up all the shiny shit and pays no attention to what really matters. And he's completely right. And it's, as we've been saying, birds have been symbolic in movies, TV shows and songs for decades now. You're actually looking at a magpie on the screen now, and I found it interesting how even the inversion of this bird is in correlation, direct correlation to everything we've been talking about to date. Now, my point here, my ultimate point is, are you an eagle or are you a magpie? Most of you I know are magpies, and that's a sad fact, but you're going to need to pick up the pace. You're going to need to accept and understand that not every step of this mystery is going to be pleasure. That's the whole point of a mystery. It gets frustrating, it gets a little bit complicated, it gets difficult, otherwise there will be no point behind it. But anyway, that's pretty much it for the whole eagles, apples and magpies thing for today. I am going to finish off with 2 final clips of this movie, just to prove to you that the pattern does exist pretty much everywhere, but there's certain times where you need to put it to one side and just ignore it completely, and there are other times where certain uses of this formula are going to become necessary for you to make your point, like I'm doing in this particular case. So anyway, I'm just going to show you the next clip we have prepared here.
Mama, get my pants.
You're not getting out of that bed.
Mama, get my pants.
Did you hear what I said?
Mama, you're more than welcome to come. You could do your whole color purple thing on the ride there, but I'm going.
You know how I feel about the color purple.
So that was just to bring a little bit more credibility towards the fact that we mention colours, and a lot of people seem to sit there and think, fuck, there is no sense to it. Like, a lot of colours are contradicted depending on how you look at them, but once you start to learn, when you really start to open your eyes and look into these things, you understand when a certain colour is being used in a certain way or another. And the way we need to look at things right now, I'm telling you, purple is bad. Purple is a bad fucking colour, period. There's many reasons for that, but for now I just need you to understand purple is bad. Take a look at my online character in my channel art. Purple cap, leopard skin around his neck, demon face, all the rest of it. Purple is evil, the same as you need to understand why Wispy presents you with the pill, like in the Matrix, red and blue. You need to understand the power of inversion. It's on the screen in front of your eyes right now with the Magpie. You need to grasp the concepts of different colours and what they can relate to in one way and what they can explain in another, i.e. again, duality and inversion. That's a little bit more tricky, but trust me, we're getting there.
God, Zeke!
Zeke!
Oh my God!
The ending there was the last clip that I wanted to show you, and it's just very simple to understand, and it explains why this movie is based on the same formula that we've been trying to explain to you. The reason we show you all these different efforts of the formula is because you need to understand these are hour-and-a-half long movies or 6-season long series, and it's a lot harder to fucking hide things in these than it is to hide them in a realistic version of Los Angeles, like with mountains and rivers, lakes, cities. The whole thing just makes it a lot more easy for them to hide it. I mean, there's story mode missions, there's annex missions, there's so many more ways to hide the details in a game like Grand Theft Auto, which is why we're trying to present to you the things they base the game off in the first place, which I think we've proven by now. Things like Lost, Heroes, Back to the Future, The Rocketeer, all these things are important because they're all condensed versions of the same formula. And here in Grand Theft Auto's case, as we all believe, it's just been used, but at the ending, once you put 2 and 2 together, you will achieve something or eventually obtain something. You know, I hope just as much as the rest of you that it's something physical in the end game. I'd love that, but until then, you need to not be a magpie, not get stuck on the shiny shit. Just because something you come across is exciting and looks good does not mean it's going to solve it. This has got so big and so complex now that we have to sit down and agree that it's going to take more than one of our ideas, more than one of our good ideas, probably a combination of the best ideas to date. All of those put together in a certain sequence will allow us to unlock what we seek. But the ending of that movie, a trinity, all 3 of them jumped off that cliff in a leap of faith. Well, the first one kind of fell, but the point is, leap of faith. I've brought it up before. We've seen it. We know about it. We understand it. It's just obvious. It's in front of us, but yet, if you're not willing to put the effort in, you're never going to see it. But anyway, that's enough for today. This is going to kind of be the last video of its kind for a while. I think we're going to jump back into some gameplay and some, as I hate to say it, physical insight towards our mystery. I'm going to take it a bit back to the game for you because I think everyone's getting a bit frustrated with all these things that don't relate to the game. I'll admit it, the only thing relating to the game that I've given you today is relating to the tracks and Epsilon. For some of you that's enough and you respect that and you understand it. For some of you it's not. So in honour of for those of you who really don't dig the format that we're in right now, don't worry, in the next couple videos we're definitely going to be jumping back into the game. But anyway guys, I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, take it easy and see ya.